I used to never spend money on anything. All of my clothes were from the thrift store. I bought the cheapest coffee I could find. We even cooked some of our meals in our hotel room on our honeymoon just to save money.
Even the trees are crazy.
And while it really did help get us started, it was also a bit of a trap and ended up actually hurting our finances long term. So this is why frugal living might not actually be working for you. Focus. No, focus. When I was hyper-focused on frugal living and saving money, looking back, I realized that I missed out on a lot of things that would have helped long-term. I spent so much of my time and energy focusing on how I could lower my grocery bill by another $20 to $50. It was to the point where I was even fixing up my apartment from paint from the thrift store, which, if you didn't know, is impossible to match. But because I was so focused on this goal of saving money, I didn't really step back and ask, is this the best use of my time and my focus? See, the thing is, with frugal living, at some point, you start getting diminishing returns. Like for instance, if you're spending $8,000 a month and you can cut that down to $5,000 a month, that's huge. You need way less now to survive. You're much closer to having a free lifestyle. But once you cut down all the basic things, all the easy things, you get to this point where now you're putting in maybe the same amount of effort, but it's making smaller and smaller impacts. And so while frugal living is a great first step, it's a great tool, for me, it became a trap where I never really evolved past that too much because that's where all my focus was. So there are some traps that I fell into that looking back ended up costing me thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. And I really don't want you to go through the same thing. Not only did I miss out on a lot of enjoyment in my life, I added a lot of unnecessary stress and lost money. So these are some of the problems with frugal living that you might not even realize. I was too scared to invest. When I was solely focused on saving money, I looked at like $20 as 2 hours of my life, and I didn't want to waste 2 hours of my life. I didn't want to lose 2 hours of my life. And I would love to just have that sit in a bank and know that it's not going anywhere, right? That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Until you realize that that $20 could be making $20 more over the next 7 years if I invested it. But for years, I was really scared to invest my money. I didn't want to put it in stocks in case it went down. I did buy some real estate, which was pretty scary at the time. But in almost everything that I did, I was worried about investing my money, even when it came to myself. And one kind of basic example of that really costing me money was this channel. For the first 3 years, besides buying one of the cheapest cameras I could and one of the cheapest laptops that I could, which both ended up breaking because they were really cheap and that cost me money, whatever, I didn't really invest into this channel. And so for 3 years, I lost money working like 40 hours a week on this channel, lost like a couple $1,000s a year. Not ideal. Until I decided that I wanted my money to work for me. And after reading some books, I realized that one of the best investments that I could make was into myself. So I spent about $2,000 and I went to a conference on how to make better YouTube videos. And this is what my graph looked like directly after going to that conference. So within a couple months, I made that money back. And now I am always looking for ways to invest into myself. I buy courses, I go to seminars all the time, I hire mentors, because I realized that let's say I spend $1,000 on something, but it helps me earn a couple % more a year, well then that's actually a really good ROI. And that money should make its way back to me within a year or two and then start running a profit. And that is a much better use of time and focus for most people than being too worried that maybe that money won't come back, and sometimes it doesn't. And therefore, sometimes being capped at your earning potential, or being too worried to start a business or invest in a business or invest in yourself, or even invest in your health. That was something that I avoided for a while, always buying really cheap food. And now I've realized that investing into my health, even though there's no immediate ROI on that, is a good thing. It is a worthwhile use of money. To have a good gym membership, as long as you actually use it. To invest in high quality foods from a farm that's down the street from me. To have chickens, even if they don't run a profit for a while and they're kind of more expensive. For us, we feel better when we eat healthy food. And that was something that I just didn't really consider when I was in the extreme frugal living mode versus the extreme, I'm gonna call it like 4-hour work week mode, which I'll kind of break down how to get there later in this video.
Now, as you guys know, it's important to know where your money is going so you can actually start to make real progress. And that's why I wanted to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Monarch Money, a super cool all-in-one personal finance app. Monarch isn't just about budgeting, it is about growth. You can use it to monitor your net worth, track your investments, and make sure that every dollar that you put in is actually helping you move forward. You can link all of your accounts, your checkings, savings, credit cards, investments, even crypto, and see all of your finances in one place. Now, it's completely ad-free with no hidden fees or upsells, and it has 4.9 stars with over 60,000 reviews. In fact, CNBC named Monarch Money as one of the world's top fintech companies of 2025. You can even collaborate with your spouse or your financial advisor at no extra cost, which makes planning together and all being on the same page very easy. On top of that, Monarch takes privacy very seriously, which I'm a fan of. Your data is fully encrypted, it is never sold, and they can't take money in or out of your account. For about the price of 2 cups of coffee a month, you get a tool that helps you focus on growth, building your financial future, and really just simplifying a lot of things that you're trying to do with your money so you know if you're making progress. You can try out Monarch Money today. You use the code GABEBOLT to get 50% off your first year with an annual subscription. And as an added bonus, we're gonna pick somebody who's on the financial minimalism waitlist and give them a free year of Monarch Money. So thanks again to Monarch for sponsoring this video.
Then of course, there is lifestyle stagnation. Don't get me wrong, I want to avoid lifestyle inflation, which is every time you get a raise, you spend more, you get a new car, you go travel, you get a bigger house, all of that. I'm very much against that, don't get me wrong. However, I kind of got into this point where I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna have a nice car. Never gonna be able to travel. I'm never gonna have this stuff. And I'm okay with that because I was very focused on like saving money. I was earning under the median income. So I like never earned a lot of money. I didn't go to college. I didn't have like many valuable skills. And I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna have nice stuff in life. I'm never gonna have money. And you know, I'm just gonna focus on saving everything that I do have, right? But after a couple of years and starting to go to some of these conferences, actually, I met so many other people who were not smarter than me, really, who were just normal people. I got to know them, I had lunch with them, I hung out with them, and they had been able to build skills that made them a decent amount of money and were able to do a lot of the things that I really wanted to do. I first kind of saw this in the 4-hour work week where you can start some type of business, really automate it, and then continue to work, although not a ton, and have kind of lifestyle freedom. And that was something that I really, really wanted. And so instead of like shutting off my brain and saying, I'll never be able to afford that thing, whatever that thing is for you. For me, it was travel, Tesla, anything like that, where I was like, oh, that's just kind of crazy. I'll just never have that because I don't make any money. I use kind of this question that I first learned about in Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is instead of saying I can't afford it, ask how can I afford it? And so like with my Tesla, I changed my mindset from I'll never be able to afford one to saying once I hit 500,000 subscribers, something which is absolutely crazy, will never ever happen, then I'll be able to get this. And that gave me a goal to shoot towards. And then within a year of setting that goal, setting a Tesla as my screensaver, really kind of committing to that, it ended up happening. The same thing happened with travel. When I decided that I want to build a lifestyle that allows me to travel through Europe for a month with my family and come back with more money than I left with. That seems crazy. That seems kind of ridiculous, right? But for like 5 years, I focused on doing that. I put in a lot of work to do that, to build up an income stream that would allow that possibility to happen. And while that one took a lot longer, that is now something that was able to happen. And it really took me breaking away from that scarcity mindset into the it's possible, because I've met dozens of other people who've done it who aren't like a ton different than you or me. And I know it's possible. They literally did it. So why can't I, or why can't you? I realized that frugal living had really baked into myself a scarcity kind of poverty mindset. It had broken my brain a little bit to the point where every time I go out and get a coffee, I feel a little guilty about it. Even though it's only once or twice a month, I think of like, well, I could make the same thing at home for like 25 cents, or I'm spending like $4.50 here. It's kind of a scam. And so that makes enjoying things a little bit more difficult. Even like this office right now, this couch was given to me. The rest of this office is pretty much empty, even though there's a lot of echo in here. And that's because even though this is where I spend a lot of my time, this is where I work, this is where I hang out, I love this space, I feel bad or like I won't get a return on my investment if I actually furnish this, if I get a carpet that gets rid of some of the echo, if I get like an actual bookshelf. And I think this kind of scarcity mindset really came from the years of extreme frugal living on like 25% of my income, which was not a high income, and kind of focusing so much on the saving side that I feel bad or guilty about enjoying travel, about buying things for myself that don't really serve a purpose. Like I'll live without a table or a bookshelf or a carpet, even though I record videos for my living. It's okay if there's a huge echo in here. Like a lot of that doesn't need to be true forever. Just because frugal living is an amazing first step to get started doesn't mean you have to stay there. And if you do stay there, you're most likely gonna stay in this type of mindset that I was trapped in for years. And that will really limit you from earning potential, from thinking that you could be that next person who starts a business and goes from making $0 to $15,000 a month within a year. something that literally a friend of mine did. Ultimately, a few things that I've been doing to break myself out of this mindset trap that I got lost in is time value. This is something that I learned from the book, The Almanac, where he picked a crazy amount of money that he valued his time at hourly and then lived his life accordingly. So like for me, I always valued my time at what I got paid at, which was like $10 to $20 an hour. Again, while I had a job, I never really made a lot of money. And so if I could go to 3 grocery stores instead of 1 and save $20, even if it took me an extra half an hour, I would totally do that. And the same thing would apply with a lot of stuff. And this book really taught me to set my standards a lot higher. So like in this book, he picked $5,000 an hour as his hourly value. And if anything fell below that, he would try to outsource it or not do it and just only focus on things that would make him that amount of money per hour and just say no to everything else, even though he was making nothing near that at the time. But just really try to focus on high leverage activities. And that's something that I have had to do for myself a little bit more. Because of that book, I picked $1,000 an hour. I try to value my time at $1,000 an hour. That means if I play video games for an hour, if I scroll Instagram for an hour, which the average person does a couple hours a day, that means that I lost $1,000 to do that. So like, would I spend $1,000 in order to scroll Instagram? No. Now we get our groceries delivered because it costs about $10, saves us about an hour of going out with 2 kids, which is super stressful, by the way. And if we value our time at $1,000 an hour, it would be insane to go to a grocery store to save $10. It wouldn't even make any sense. And now, obviously, you can take this too far and like just start spending money willy-nilly, justifying everything. But for the most part, I try to apply this to work where I really look for high leverage activities, which in my business is like a few things actually make a difference. The rest of it is just busy work that kind of distracts myself. And I'm guessing it's kind of similar to you. There's this idea of the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule, that 20% of the actions lead to 80% of the results. And that is true across literally almost everything. Like we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time, 20% of the clients lead to 80% of the profits. It applies to everything. There are things that are more important. Everything does not have the same importance. And if you value yourself, you value your life, you value yourself as a person and your time at a much higher dollar value, and you work as if you're making $1,000 an hour, even if you're working at McDonald's, if you're working like you're making $1,000 an hour, you will get a great reputation there. When you go to get another job, they'll be like, man, that guy worked really hard. That guy took on a lot of responsibility. That guy was really driven. And you can use that type of work ethic to get raises at work, to start your own business, to just spend your time better. If you treat your time like it actually has value, because it does. Also use the 1% rule. I made a list of 50 different ways to improve your finances by 1%. I'll leave a link to it down below, totally free. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out this video right here. The YouTube algorithm seems to think that you will like it. Algorithms can't be wrong, everybody knows that.